where we are with AI in Pakistan.
AI that's sort of disrupting or replacing existing industries and ecosystems. Approximately 17% of existing jobs in Pakistan are at risk due to automation.
The powerful things with the way tech is currently working, and particularly where we see AI, is that it's creating a lot of opportunities for women to be able to do tasks remotely.
जो हाई इनकम खवातीन हैं, जो हाई लिटरेट खवातीन हैं, जो कि एआई को थोड़ी डिफरेंट तरह से इस्तेमाल कर रही हैं, आई थिंक वो परहैप्स एआई के पोटेंशियल को दे एबल टू टैप इनटू इट बेटर.
हमारी ख्वातीन पढ़ती हैं तो क्या उनके पास वो स्किल्स हैं जिससे वो एआई का फ़ायदा उठा सकें. 91% ऑफ द यूथ डू नॉट हैव द बेसिक डिजिटल लिटरेसी स्किल्स दैट दे नीड टू ऑपरेट फोन्स, लैपटॉप्स.
एक्सेस ही इतना कम है, आपको एक्सेस टू मोबाइल फोन्स, एक्सेस टू इंटरनेट, एक्सेस टू डेटा, वो ही इतना कम है. दैट इज अ कंस्ट्रेंट दैट वी हैव टू रिकग्नाइज. जब डिजाइनर्स और ट्रेनर्स और औरत ही होगी तभी आपको ये कंस्ट्रेंट्स सही से आप मीट कर पाएंगे एंड तभी आप उस किस्म के प्रोग्राम डिजाइन कर पाएंगे जो कि at the end of the day brings women at par with men and allows them to take advantage of these opportunities.
Unfortunately, the only data set we have जिससे आप बात कर सकते हो is in Urdu. Right? आप पश्तो में नहीं कर सकते, पश्तो का लैंग्वेज डेटा सेट नहीं है. आप पंजाबी में नहीं कर सकते, उसका लैंग्वेज डेटा सेट नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता. आप सराइकी में भी नहीं कर सकते, उसका लैंग्वेज डेटा सेट नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता.
Biases related to gender and race also exist within data sets, right? Because at the end of the day, you've got a human being that is training that data set.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for joining us at the end of a long day. I'm hoping this is going to be an interesting session. It's certainly very relevant to the current times. Our session is AI and the Future of Work. I am Dr. Mariam Mustafa. I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Computer Science at LUMS. I'm also the director of the Gender and Technology Research Cluster and the Saida Vahid Gender Center. And most of my work lies at the intersection of gender and technology. Today's session is going to look at AI and the future of work. Just very briefly, when I say AI, what I mean are complex computer systems which are capable of performing tasks that historically only a human could do, tasks like reasoning, decision-making. And as you know, these systems are becoming more and more advanced and able to more and more replicate human reasoning. And so what does that mean for the future of Pakistan? We're going to explore the impact of AI on the labor market in Pakistan, and we're going to specifically focus on its implication for female workers. As AI technologies increasingly permeate various sectors, their potential to transform job structures, employment patterns, and workplace environments will be pivotal, especially in low-resource contexts like Pakistan, where skilled labor is often very hard to find. Joining me on this panel today are Dr. Hadia Majid, who's associate professor and chair of the Department of Economics at LUMS. Her research agenda considers the impact of monetary and public resource constraints on individuals in Pakistan with a special focus on women's access to decent and empowering work. She has published in international journals and is currently editing a book titled Gender at Work in Pakistan. She has received grants from several agencies, including Oxfam, IDRC, IGC, among others, and has acted as a consultant for numerous government and non-government agencies on gendered labor market outcomes. Welcome, Hadia. Thank you for being with us today. We also have Dr. Farah Said, who's assistant professor economics and the executive director of the Mehboob Haq Research Center at LUMS. Farah is the executive director of the MHRC and an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science. At the Department of Economics, sorry. She's an associate fellow at IDEAS, a research fellow at SERP, and an invited researcher at JPAL. Previously, she had positions as a research fellow at Center for Research in Economics and Business, an assistant professor at Lahore School of Economics, and a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Göttingen in Germany. Welcome, Farah. We also have with us Zoha. Zoha is a journalist covering labor and technology in Pakistan, and I can't tell you how rare it is to find one of those. Her writings have been published by Vice, The New Humanitarian, Foreign Policy, Rest of World, Third Pole, and others. She received a master's degree in journalism and Near Eastern Studies from NYU, where she was also a Falak Sufi scholar. She's also been a labor tech fellow at a news non-profit called Rest of the World. So I'm going to dive right into it. And one of the first things I'd like to lay out is a sense of where we are with AI in Pakistan. As you know, we tend to lag behind the rest of the world when it comes to most technologies. So let's start with just sort of trying to unpack where we are with there. Zoe, I'm going to start with you and ask, how are AI technologies currently being integrated into Pakistan's key industries? And what preliminary impacts are these having on employment patterns, particularly for women?
So I think conversations around AI became colloquial and commonplace after ChatGPT, and the world sort of blew up as a consequence. But I think it's important to take a step back and sort of unpack the fact that AI is actually a much bigger, wider, and more complex world that's not just limited to LLMs, right? And so I'm going to bifurcate this question into three broad pillars. First, you've got AI tech that's sort of streamlining or improvising existing industry or improving existing industry ecosystems, right? And I'll break that down for you a little bit. For instance, when you look at telemedicine, right, there are startups in Pakistan like Sehat Kahani, for instance, that recently got a $3 million raised a $3 million funding round, and they're using AI to using AI for predictive telehealth, right? And similarly, there's another startup called Auratraj that has developed an AI-based chatbot that addresses questions related to reproductive health. You've also got AI being used and I find this super fascinating, that there's an initiative at LUMS that's using AI to combat forest fires using AI, right? So LUMS and WWF have sort of collaborated together, and they're working on a pilot project. And then there's also this company called Trucker, which is basically a logistics and transportation startup that's using machine learning to come up with an instant pricing model, right? So there are sort of existing industries and ecosystems that are then using AI as sort of an add-on to streamline or make the process better, right? So that's the first pillar. And the second pillar is AI that's sort of disrupting or replacing existing industries and ecosystems. And I think when ChatGPT first sort of became common, there was almost this instantaneous fear, the fact that robots are going to come for our jobs, so to speak, right? And I don't think there's much truth to that, but there is the fact that approximately 17% of existing jobs in Pakistan are at risk due to automation. And this includes jobs like graphic design, animation, illustration, content writing is a really big one, right? And virtual assistant roles. And I think at this point, it's pertinent to note that Pakistan actually has a massive economy. And since I cover sort of the intersection of labor and tech, this falls within sort of the area that I research. Pakistan has a massive economy of freelance gig workers and outsourced contract workers on platforms like Fiverr and Upwork. So if you run a search for Pakistan or Pakistani workers on these platforms, you'll come up with a plethora of results. And these workers have increasingly found themselves with a shortage of clients because the nature of work on these platforms is shifting. It's shifting to such a great degree that in January 2023, Fiverr introduced a new job category called AI services, which is basically creative workers that are using AI services to sort of perform services for clients, right? So for instance, an illustrator that's using Midjourney or DALL-E to fulfill services for clients. So that's the second pillar. And then lastly, the third pillar, which unfortunately isn't really talked about much, is the back-end world of AI large language models like Scale AI or ChatGPT, right? Where workers are essentially, and this is like the human back-end to your ChatGPT interface, the fact that workers are essentially training AI LLMs and performing tasks like data annotation or prompt engineering. In my research, I found that this sort of work is generally stigmatized right? Workers are contract workers, they work for long hours, they're not entitled to protections through the companies that they work for. And very often when platforms like Scale AI wrap up their projects, they usually do so with very little notice. And I'll give you an example. Scale AI recently, so they sort of they had hired Pakistani workers about 2 years ago at about $8 per task. So about $8 an hour is what they were being paid. And then a couple of months ago, I think this was in February, they sort of ceased to allow registrations from Pakistan overnight. And so there were these workers that whose livelihoods depended on performing these tasks who were suddenly left with nothing, right? And so these are sort of three broad pillars in which AI has started to sort of creep into the workforce and existing industries. And to answer the second part of your question regarding gender representation, I don't have concrete information on concrete data into this regarding this, but generally women gravitate towards the second and third categories that I mentioned, right? So online gig work or training AI LLMs as cloud workers or data annotators or prompt engineers. The reason why this happens is because, and this isn't just limited to Pakistan, this happens everywhere. The reason why this tends to happen is because this kind of work is flexible. You can do it from home, but it's also really precarious because it comes with very little protection. There's very little growth in these roles. And then I think the biggest problem is the fact that it comes with something called the burden of care, which is the fact that women are expected to perform roles within the home in addition to what they are doing, in order to earn money. And both tasks are being performed within the home space. So yeah, I think to summarize, I think three broad pillars and,
Thank you,
yeah.
Zoha. That was really quite comprehensive. I think that, just sort of going off of what Zoha is saying, I think Pakistan really hasn't gotten to the point where we're building our own models from our own data just because data doesn't exist. That's one of the sort of key challenges that Pakistan faces when we talk about AI technologies or sort of their use in fundamentally changing specific industries. And it certainly, as Zoha said, is going to have an impact on creative jobs, particularly jobs like content writing, jobs like graphic designing, even coding platforms, right? Most of you have used, I see a lot of students here, I'm assuming most of you at some point or the other have used GPT or some version thereof to do your assignments, right? It's fairly decent. It does a good job of doing that. Hadi, I want to turn to you a little bit now, and what I'd really like to understand, Zoha touched upon this when she said that, and I think this is absolutely true, and I'd like your take on this, that one of the powerful things with the way tech is currently working, and particularly where we see AI, is that it's creating a lot of opportunities for women to be able to do tasks remotely, right? So outsourced data grunt work to low middle income women here who are doing a lot of sort of very basic tasks. And then they're being paid in USDs, which is, even if it's a very little per hour, it becomes significant with our conversion rate. So what do you think are the specific opportunities that AI provides for women in Pakistan to advance their careers or enter new fields? And how can these opportunities be scaled across different sectors?
Thank you, Mariam, and thank you, Zoha, for that comprehensive lay of the land. I think आपने discussion को बहुत अच्छी तरह से motivate कर लिया है. So I'd like to divide my response between low income and high income women, and I'm going to build off जो Zoha ने अभी थोड़े बहुत बातचीत की है. So I'm going to build off some of those points. I think जो high income ख़वातीन हैं, जो high literate ख़वातीन हैं, जो कि AI को थोड़ी different तरह से इस्तेमाल कर रही हैं, I think वो perhaps AI के potential को they're able to tap into it better. These women are integrated into the system in a slightly different fashion. वो financial markets में ज़्यादा बेहतर तौर से इंटीग्रेटेड होंगी, वो आपके एजुकेशन मार्केट में ज़्यादा बेहतर तौर से इंटीग्रेटेड होंगी, वो आपके हो सकता है लेबर मार्केट में भी शुरू से ही ज़रा बेहतर तौर से इंटीग्रेटेड हो. तो दे आर एबल टू, आई फील, एंटर दैट गिग इकोनॉमी. दे आर एबल टू गेट दोज, दे हैव दैट बैंक सेटअप ऑलरेडी कि वो बाहर जो है काम कर रही हों, उनके पास पैसे आ रहे हों. अब ये सारी अफोर्डेंसेस जो हैं जो लो इनकम लो लिटरेट खवातीन हैं उनके पास नहीं होंगी, सो देन दे आर गोइंग टू यूज AI in a different fashion altogether. And इसमें I think their use of the AI is probably a lot more restricted. So we're not able to see them leveraging this type of technology in the manner that we might like. So a lot of us turn to AI to help us make certain decisions that much easier. So students may be turning to AI to help them with assignments. I may be turning to AI and putting in some prompts in the system to help me make financial decisions or to help me make investment decisions. अब अगर ये चीज़ आप लेवरेज कर सकें हमारे माइक्रो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए, then maybe they're going to be able to grow their business in a slightly different fashion. And I say this because you and I are working on this, right? So we want to be able to tap into the potential of these softwares to really help women understand and navigate ways to grow their businesses, which they may not normally think about. And this software may allow them to provide those prompts and get some responses, जिसको लेके वो अपनी बिजनेस को एक डिफरेंट तरीके से स्केल कर सकें. अब हमारी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में दैट बिकम्स रियली डिफिकल्ट फॉर देम टू डू, क्योंकि इन अ लॉट ऑफ केसेस दे माइट नॉट इवन नो कि ये टूल्स अवेलेबल हैं. सो इस केस में, एंड I'm going to jump a little bit to your next question, Mariam. इस केस में when it comes to opportunities being scaled, it becomes really important कि हम literacy किस तरह से spread कर रहे हैं, digital literacy किस किस्म की है, और ये जो tools हैं इनको किस तरह से हमने डिज़ाइन किया हुआ है कि हम लो लिटरेट लो इनकम खवातीन के लिए इनको बेहतर इस्तेमाल कर सकें. क्या इसमें वॉइस फीचर्स हैं कि नहीं है, जो खवातीन टाइप नहीं कर सकती हैं क्या वो वॉइस प्रॉम्प्ट्स दे सकती हैं? दैट्स समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू थिंक अबाउट इन आवर कॉन्टेक्स्ट. आपने डेटा का जिक्र किया है, तो हमें किस किस्म का, आपने जो सेहत कहानी की बात की थी, आई थिंक दैट्स रियली इंटरेस्टिंग. कैन वी यूज the existing features of these applications and then use them to improve health outcomes in our population? सेहत कहानी जैसे जो entrepreneurs हैं, क्या वो उस किस्म का डेटा ले रहे हैं कि हम उसको इस्तेमाल करके अपने डॉक्टर्स के लिए बेहतर अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ प्रेजेंट कर सकें कि वो हमारे डायग्नोसिस बेहतर कर सकें? If we are able to leverage this type of technology that much better, which I think we're not able to do in the labor market at the moment, I think the scale of opportunities available to particularly the low income classes becomes much better. For a high income खवातीन, I think जो आपने आखिर में बात की थी जोहा कि overnight our workers were banned from putting in or sort of putting in bids for projects. Some of that has to do with productivity, right? कि you're not able to deliver on the projects that you had committed to. अब उसमें yes ठीक है, maybe some of it has to do with the type of worker who's going onto these platforms, but a lot of it has to do with the business environment that exists within the country. Are we even facilitating these workers? हम बात करते हैं कि बाहर से dollars आ जाएंगे. It's so hard to get dollars from outside the country or to send money outside the country. So आपकी बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट किस तरह से है, आप उसको किस तरह से लोगों को टैप इन करने दे रहे हैं इनटू दीज अपॉर्चुनिटीज दैट आर प्रेजेंटेड. आपका इंटरनेट कैसा है? आई मीन हर दूसरे दिन तो हमारे इंटरनेट में कोई मसला हो जाता है. तो अगर आप घर पे बैठे हुए काम कर भी रहे हैं, रिमोटली काम कर भी रहे हैं, हाउ easy is it for you to navigate these spaces to really use these opportunities that much more better? And what are the kind of time and resources that you can devote and I think there's some important issues that we need to tackle. What is the role of the public sector in all of this? To what extent are we trying to facilitate these sort of micro entrepreneurs, chahe wo high income ho, low income ho, through digital literacy programs, through financial market programs, through just internet provision and data service packages? उस सब को आपको सोच के फिर ही आप इसकी स्केलिंग के बारे में concrete steps ले सकते हैं, and really you can tap into this market that much better. I'm going to stop here and I'm happy to expand on points as we go along.
Thank you for that, Hadia. I think Hadia's raised, public sector ka jo point hai na, that's a really valid one. And it's a very, very important one. I'm working on health-related projects where we're trying to develop AI assistants to help midwives and jo aapki low-skilled maternal health workers होती हैं जो घरों में deliveries हो रही हैं. Pakistan is one of the worst maternal mortality numbers in the world, right? And part of it is because we just don't have enough doctors. आपके जो peri-urban, rural इन इलाकों में डॉक्टर्स हैं नहीं, हॉस्पिटल्स जो हैं वो बहुत दूर हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ पंजाब विल आइदर कम टू लेडी विलिंगटन और लेडी एचिसन जो लाहौर में है फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ maternal health checkups, right? So I think that AI has the potential to help you sort of plug some of the gaps that low resource countries like Pakistan has. I was recently a couple of months ago in Africa, and they have so many projects that are centered around leveraging the power of AI. So chahe wo healthcare ho, chahe wo aapke most households, the women Hadia and I have worked with, they don't have a budget. Agar aapka chota sa business hai, it's very hard without any training, without having gone to a formal business school or even having an undergrad education, to budget your household, to budget your business, to figure out how to save, to figure out कि वो saving जो है उसको effectively कहाँ पर use करना है. Africa में there are AI assistants that help you do this in the local language. They are speech based. It's a speech based system जिसको आप कहो कि मेरी घर की इनकम इतनी है, उसमें से इतना मेरा अप्रॉक्सीमेटली बिल आता है, इतने मेरे बच्चे हैं, इन स्कूलों में पढ़ते हैं. It's able to figure out how much you can save in a month and where you can get that saving from and where you should invest that saving. So imagine, but I'm not seeing the same kind of work with the same speed happening in Pakistan. And I think part of it is just that there is no buy-in from the state, right? There's no push from the state to incentivize this sort of work, to incentivize how do you use sort of this really complex, powerful technologies that we now have to plug holes, whether it's health or education or fintech, right? Which takes me to my third question for you, Farah. It's a bit of a doom and gloom question. I apologize for that. After like sort of the potential of AI, in what ways do you think AI systems could potentially widen existing gender gaps in the Pakistan's labor market and in Pakistan in general? And are there examples where AI has already had such effects?
Yeah, thank you, Mariam. I know this is a doom and gloom question, but as an economist, I do very well with doom and gloom. So I'm going to build up on the foundation that both Zoha and Hadia have already laid out, right? So we've talked about the opportunities. Now, on the flip side, we can kind of decompose this into two different things. So, एक है lack of access. Is this better? So, एक है lack of access, where I'm going to be focusing on कि supply of labor पे क्या impact आ रहा है, right? So, जब हमारी ख्वातीन पढ़ती हैं तो क्या उनके पास वो skills हैं जिससे वो AI का फ़ायदा उठा सकें. तो एक तो ये है कि हम STEM की बात कर सकते हैं. STEM में पाकिस्तान की women's representation in STEM is very low. I believe around 10%, but the world over it's the same. So in world over STEM में female representation is low. आप Google, Facebook का देख लें, recently there was a report that came out and they just measured the number of technical workers who are women, and in none of these companies, Facebook, Google, Apple, whatever have you, 25% से ऊपर कहीं पे भी नहीं थी. So हर जगह disparities हैं. पाकिस्तान में उससे ज़्यादा हैं. पर जैसे हादिया ने कहा कि ये हम तो ये भी नहीं बात करें कि STEM तक पहुँचे, हम कह रहे हैं बेसिक डिजिटल लिटरेसी स्किल्स हैं कि नहीं, राइट? और उस पर पाकिस्तान का अपना ही डेटा है जिसमें उसमें दिखाया हुआ है कि जी आपका जो यूथ है, हम उसको अभी जेंडर से डिसएग्रीगेट नहीं कर रहे, but youth में 91% of the youth do not have the basic digital literacy skills that they need to operate phones, laptops, any kind of voice prompts, chatbots, whatever have you. They just don't have it. So ये आपकी जो सप्लाई साइड से आपके पास आएगा, वो पहले ही अगर जेंडर गैप आ रहा है उसको वो बढ़ाता जाएगा, बिकॉज औरतों के पास वो एक्सेस ही नहीं है. GSMA did this, it does a survey every year, but they try to find out how many women are connected to the internet, how many women have access to phones, how many women have their own phones. And they find almost, अगर 10 आदमियों के पास है तो 5 औरतों के पास फ़ोन होगा जो अब उनके अपने इस्तेमाल का होगा. अक्सर वो किसी और का फ़ोन इस्तेमाल कर रही होंगी, उसके लिए इजाज़त भी चाहिए होगी कि मैं तुम्हारा फ़ोन यूज़ कर लूँ. हो सकता है कोई पुलिसिंग भी हो रही है कि फ़ोन पे हो क्या रहा है. आप उनसे ये पूछें कि अच्छा आपके पास क्या इंटरनेट है, तो only about 15% of the women say we have regular access to internet. So even if you kind of facilitate the use of AI, they don't have these very basic infrastructure to use any digital tool, any AI-based technology. So ये supply side पे है. Now, if you look at the demand side, again, इसमें भी we can kind of divide into two. एक तो formal market में क्या हो रहा है, एक informal market में क्या हो रहा है, जिस पे Hadia has already mentioned women working at home and the entrepreneurs at home. So I'll focus on the formal side a bit more. So formal side में what have the global trends shown us कि कहाँ पे loss of jobs हो रही है, वो है जहाँ पे automation ज़्यादा है, जहाँ पे आसान है कि आपका काम जो है वो automate हो सकता है. This is clerical work, this is administrative work, and all over, including in Pakistan, India, and the South Asian region, women are overrepresented in the entry-level administrative clerical work. And according to some estimates, 1 out of every 5 female in this job is likely to lose it due to AI automation. Okay? So एक और gender gap आपका बढ़ना शुरू हो गया इसी वजह से. There are some exceptional cases as well. So there are cases जहाँ पे आपके AI based रिक्रूटमेंट हो रही होती है कि एक स्कोर बनता है, आपकी एप्लीकेशन जाती है, उसमें वो स्कोर देखते हैं, उस हिसाब से आपको फर्स्ट इंटरव्यू के लिए बुलाया जाता है. अब वो मसला ये है कि AI मॉडल्स आर यूजिंग हिस्टोरिकल डेटा. पाकिस्तान पे ये डेटा है नहीं ज़्यादातर, लेकिन जिन मुल्कों में है भी, वहाँ पे पिछले 10 साल में औरतों ने इतना काम नहीं किया. So Amazon in 2018, they had a recruitment tool which they eventually had to scrape because they noticed that it was discriminating against women because it was based on the last 10 years data and पिछले 10 साल में औरतों की representation बहुत ही कम थी. So जब उनको औरत एक applicant आता था, उसका वो degrade करते थे कि okay, this is not a good applicant because in the past we haven't seen many women hired for this post. Right? So एक तो वो exceptional cases हैं. Again, on the formal side, what we've seen is there is going to be a substantial job churn because there's this new disruptive technology. You would expect some jobs to change. You would also expect some retraining to happen. So this could happen at the individual side, but some of this is also going to happen with firms retraining their workers. And there the concern is कि किसको वो retrain करेंगे? उनको करेंगे जिनके base level of skills इतने low ना हो, so थोड़े से high हो. और जिनका उन्हें पता है कि या तो उनका जॉब टेन्योर लंबा होगा या फिर वो ब्रेक्स नहीं लेंगे, फॉर एग्जांपल बिकॉज देव हैड अ चाइल्ड एंड देव हैड टू टेक सम ब्रेक, मैटर्निटी लीव पे जाना पड़ा, एट्सेट्रा. So even on the training aspect for people who are already employed, the concern is that the firms are now going to be less likely to invest in their female workers. So that is going to increase the gap once again. So I'll stop the doom and gloom here, and in the next question maybe try to be a bit more optimistic.
Fantastic. Thank you, Farah. I think that's absolutely spot on. Typically, you will find women more in automotive entry-level roles, and once AI sort of is more ubiquitous, women are going to lose out on jobs there. So, Adia, you and Farah, both of you have talked about digital literacy and STEM as essential skills that women need to have to be able to participate in an AI economy. And I'm wondering if you have thoughts on what kind of programs should be prioritized for women to help them succeed? How can these programs be made accessible to women across socioeconomic classes? Because, gender is one aspect of what we're talking about. Class in Pakistan is another big one. And particularly for AI and STEM education in general, they're very interrelated, right? So there's a certain class that has access to these tools, whether it's students, whether it's women, whether it's men, and there's a class that doesn't. And so how do we get women upskilled? How do we get them to a place where they can be active participants in the new economy?
Right. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about digital literacy in and of itself, क्योंकि वो सारी चीज़ें हम सबको पता है. So I want us to think in a slightly different fashion when it comes to what are the types of skills or what are the types of tools that we need to give these women. I mean, first off, going off of what Farah has already said, access ही इतना कम है. आपको access to mobile phones, access to internet, access to data, वो ही इतना कम है. That is a constraint that we have to recognize, and we have to try and reduce that constraint, relax that constraint as much as we possibly can. Having said that, in some aspects we have to consider कि there are, even when you relax those constraints, औरतों को आपने, let's say आपने घर के अंदर जो है इंटरनेट प्रोवाइड कर दिया है, घर के अंदर आपने एक्सेस टू स्मार्टफोन दे दिया है, जो जोहा आप कह रही थी अबाउट रिप्रोडक्टिव वर्क. अब औरतों ने घर पे बैठ के जब वो काम कर रही हैं या ऑफिस से बैठ के भी वो काम कर रही हैं, उनका आधा जहन जो है वो हमेशा रिप्रोडक्टिव वर्क के ऊपर ही होगा. दे हैव टू कंसिडर द काइंड ऑफ वर्क दे हैव टू डू, आइदर नेविगेटेड इन द ऑफिस कि वो बच्चे की देखभाल जो है रिमोटली कर रही हैं, उसका स्केड्यूल मेंटेन कर रही हैं, यहाँ पे घर जाके घर के अंदर जब भी वो काम कर रही हैं, उन्होंने आधा वक्त जो है वो रिप्रोडक्टिव काम पे गुजारना है. सो हाउ डू वी, keeping that in mind, how do we make sure that women have the skills moving forward to succeed in this sort of job market? One thing we can continue to talk about reducing reproductive burden for women, making men more involved. But I think what we also have to recognize is the kind of programs we institute for these women, the kind of training that we provide for these women, have to keep these constraints in mind. अगर आप कोई प्रोग्राम डिज़ाइन कर रहे हैं जिसमें अगर आप ये मद्देनजर नहीं रखें कि औरतों के पास टाइम ही नहीं है, औरतों को रिमोटली ये ट्रेनिंग हासिल करनी है और औरतों के पास एक्सेस टू दैट काइंड ऑफ इंटरनेट या रिसोर्सेज नहीं है, तो प्रोग्राम, वो ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम इन एंड ऑफ इटसेल्फ फेल कर जाएगा. आप ये ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम जब आप डिज़ाइन करें उसमें रिमोट ऑप्शन रखें, उसमें ऑप्शन रखें कि औरत जब चाहे उस प्रोग्राम के अंदर आके कुछ वीडियोस देख सके या कुछ अपनी स्किल को इन्हांस कर सके और फिर थोड़ी देर के लिए ब्रेक ले ले एंड देन कंटिन्यू आफ्टरवर्ड्स. You keep in mind the fact that she's not going to have access to a device which is private, a device which is hers. So how do you design financial instruments? How do you design apps, keeping in mind that privacy is going to be an issue for these women? How do you design digital literacy programs, keeping in mind that औरतों के पास उस किस्म का time नहीं है? I think you need to get women involved in the design of all of these apps, in the design of all of these programs. जब आप औरतों को, जब designers और trainers और औरत ही होगी, तभी आपको ये constraints सही से आप meet कर पाएंगे and तभी आप उस किस्म के program design कर पाएंगे जो कि at the end of the day brings women at par with men and allows them to take advantage of these opportunities.
Thank you, Hadia. I think, Hadia's raised some really interesting points and important ones about ensuring that women themselves have some agency and autonomy in what's being designed for them. I think when we talk about the design of AI technologies, it is also really important to understand कि ये सारी जो टेक है ये एक डेटा पर बेस्ड है, इसकी जो फाउंडेशन है इस डेटा. And currently most of this data is not our data, right? The way, so for example, अगर आप health की बात करते हैं, the way my body works as a South Asian woman is very different from how perhaps the body of a Caucasian white woman works, right? And so I think sort of really recognizing and understanding that we need to start generating our own data, but also when you talk about the design, हमारे मुल्क में we are a very low literate nation. And so expecting folks to be able to use advanced AI systems in English is sort of a hard sell. What's an easier sell is to be able to say, okay, let's just make these systems speech-based. कि आप speech से communicate, आप बात कर लें एक system के साथ. अब now, अगर तो मैं English की बात करूँ तो most systems have the capacity to speak to you in English. How many of you in this hall speak a language, a regional language other than Urdu? Urdu ke alawa, right? Most of you. Now, and this is one of the biggest challenges as a technologist and as a designer, I feel that we face in Pakistan. If I want to build a speech-based system, a health system, औरतों के लिए, मर्दों के लिए, मैं health assistant बनाना चाहती हूँ जिससे आप पूछ लो, जिस तरह, how many of you have ever Googled strange symptoms? How many of you have said that, my vomit is green? What does this mean? I've certainly done it, right? And we can do this because of English में बात कर सकते हैं, हम English में Google कर सकते हैं, हमें search results की समझ आती है, हमें ये पता है कि कौन सा result valid है, कौन सा नहीं है. If you're a low literate person, these are not skills you have. AI now has the potential to give you these skills, but if you can speak to it. Unfortunately, the only data set we have जिससे आप बात कर सकते हो is in Urdu, right? आप पश्तो में नहीं कर सकते, पश्तो का language data set नहीं है. आप पंजाबी में नहीं कर सकते, उसका लैंग्वेज डेटा सेट नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता. आप सराइकी में भी नहीं कर सकते, उसका लैंग्वेज डेटा सेट नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता. एंड बाय डेटा सेट आई मीन hundreds and thousands of hours of recording and उनकी translation and what that actually semantically means. That just doesn't exist. And I think that really places Pakistan at a disadvantage when we talk about the skill sets required for us to sort of effectively leverage AI tech. Which brings me to you, Zoha. As a journalist, what has your been experience with sort of the institutional support for AI and digital technologies? And do you think there is a way for AI tools to be used to sustainably promote sort of financial independence for women, for them to be able to sort of leverage these tools effectively?
I just wanted to point out, by the way, from what you just said, I mean, even Urdu is considered to be a low resource language,
That's
right?
It
so
is.
if Urdu is a low resource language, can you imagine the rank that
Saraiki or
That's
Pashto
Sarai-
or
right.
Punjabi, there is nothing.
There's
So-
nothing, yeah.
So when I build health systems, वो urban centers तक महदूद रह जाते हैं, right?
Yeah.
Urdu speaking populations, ताकि
Right.
गाँव में इंटीरियर सिंध में औरत बैठी हुई है वो नहीं इस्तेमाल कर सकती. not because उसके पास skill set नहीं है. I think it's really important to move away from this idea के आप English सीखोगे तो फिर आप use कर सकते हो. That's not how it should be.
Right.
But I think because there is a certain, lack of perhaps development of these data sets locally, that is
Right.
where we find
Yeah,
ourselves.
the fact that everything is global
Yeah.
north centric. I'm going to talk about that in the last question. As far as the questions you just asked me are concerned, regarding the first question you asked, which is experience with institutional support for women's economic empowerment through digital tech, I think the buck stops short when you sort of, I mean, I want to take us back to the internet shutdown we experienced exactly a year ago. I think this was end of May 2023, where the internet was just shut down without any notice for 4 days. We had no idea why this had happened. And I spoke with a number of freelance gig workers after this shutdown who said we lost clients that we had maintained relationships with over months. And they said, I mean, you're so unreliable. I'd much rather go to a different country. I'd much rather go to the Philippines or Bangladesh because I can't even get a WhatsApp message from you, right? I can't even get through to you, and this is a time-sensitive project. And so I think that's where the buck stops short, right? When your internet ecosystem is so fragile, I think the question of institutional support is just there is none. And then the second question: how can digital AI tools be used to sustainably promote financial independence? I'm going to regurgitate some of what Hadia and Farah said, which is the fact that AI disruption is inevitable, right? And the industries that it's going to disrupt first are your sort of cottage industries of informal workers. I mean, online gig workers are part of the informal economy, right? And so that is essentially the first industry that's going to get disrupted because of AI, and this is going to increase the gender divide within as a consequence of these job displacements. And so I think what needs to be done essentially is upskilling at both sort of the company level, the institutional level, the university level. And I think there are very simple ways of going about it, right? Like you could, for instance, train content writers to understand more technical aspects of AI, machine learning, or natural language processing. You could train virtual assistants to do more than just the work that they are doing. You could train them, and this is really interesting, you could train virtual assistants to use ChatGPT to get access to more clients so that they can make more money. I mean, you at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. I'm going to go back to an example I cited earlier, which is the fact that sort of these platforms where a lot of Pakistani workers are seeking work, right? Platforms like Upwork and Fiverr have introduced a separate category for AI commissions, right? And so you've got folks that are essentially harnessing AI tools to sort of make their work quicker, faster, and then earn more money as a consequence. And I just wanted to end by citing an example from a project. So I used to work for a nonprofit called Rest of World, and we did a project last year that looked at sort of the ways in which freelance workers are adopting AI, right? And one of the workers we profiled is a woman in Guadalajara in Mexico. Her name's Sonia Gonzalez, and she's this really cool artist, and she makes comic style hand drawn illustrations, very intricate and very expensive. And she used to get clients from Fiverr. And then what she started doing was she started using Midjourney to make AI illustrations in a similar style, and you can do that with Midjourney, and you can tell it to sort of give you an illustration in the style of a specific artist, and she used her own style to do that. And what happened as a consequence was really interesting. She shot to fame, she started getting more clients, and the number of folks that wanted cheaper AI illustrations, right, was almost the same as the number of folks that wanted the more expensive ones, right? So she was being able to sort of do both things at the same time. And so I think generative AI softwares or tools they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. they're not necessarily going to take away jobs, but I think the nature of work is shifting. That is why this panel is called AI and the Future of Work. And I think upskilling and training can make that shift or that change a little less grating and a little less uncomfortable.
Thank you, Zoha. So I'm going to try and leave at least 10 minutes for Q&A. But before we do that, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I think Zoha's spot on when she says there is no institutional support, because there really isn't. 2 weeks ago, because I'm a technologist and I build tech, and ideally what I'd like is for my tech to find home in public spaces and places. So I went to the Punjab Health Authorities and I said, listen, I've built this really cool assistant that's going to help your low skilled maternal healthcare workers जो BHUs or rural health centers में बैठे हुए हैं, to diagnose pregnant women better, because, you know, for example, the third leading cause of maternal deaths in Pakistan is eclampsia, which is really just blood pressure, right? Imagine a woman dying from blood pressure, right? Because वो diagnosed नहीं हो पा रहा. And it turns out AI is quite good at doing this. And so if you can just, and they said, हमें इसकी समझ नहीं आती, we're not going to deploy this. I don't believe what you're saying. This is not happening. And the pushback is so much that, you know, as a developer, technologist, researcher, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go back and again and beg them, कि please try kar le, you know. It's deployed at Shalimar. It's working there in Lahore. It's quite useful, quite helpful. The Punjab government wants none of it. And so I think that there is sort of a sort of a severe disconnect between where the world is headed and where Pakistan is headed. Which brings me to my last questions for the panel. Hadia, what kind of policies need to be implemented to ensure that the introduction of AI into the workplace supports gender equity? What role should government, academia, and the private sector play in this?
बहुत ही मुश्किल सवाल किया है आपने मरियम. So I'm going to go back to what is my firm belief as a development economist who works in a context जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा asymmetric information है, बहुत ज़्यादा market failures हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा inequality है. If you look at whatever way you want to cut the population, the role of the government is central, the role of the state is central in any kind of policy reform that you want to do. आपने हमारे लेबर मार्केट को ट्रांसफॉर्म करना है, आपने हमारे लेबर मार्केट में जेंडर इक्वालिटी को बढ़ाना है, आपने इस तरह की अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ लानी है कि औरतों को काम मिले, बेहतर काम मिले, प्रोटेक्टेड काम मिले. I mean, you talked about precarious work in the context of AI as well. So अगर आपने वो precarity कम करनी है, the government has to take a central role. So I mean, हम जितना भी चाहें कि अच्छा academia को involve होना चाहिए. आपका जो example है मरियम, कि you've developed this tech which is working, you have a proof of concept, but if you really want to scale it and reduce inequality in our society, improve welfare in our society, at the end of the day, the actor that can have the biggest impact is the government. So we have to think about the institutional capacity, the institutional willingness, and the ability to bring about change in a sustainable fashion in the long run at the governmental level. वहाँ पे किस किस्म का बायन है, वो किस तरह से अपनी पॉलिसीज़ इनैक्ट कर रहे हैं, जब पॉलिसीज़ बन रही हैं उसमें कौन से स्टेक होल्डर्स इन्वॉल्व हैं, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स नीड टू बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन. आई थिंक अगर हम पॉलिसीज़ के बारे में बात करें तो अगर आप सबसे वनरेबल पॉपुलेशन, the population, the subpopulation that is hit the hardest, उनके लिए solution आप deploy करना शुरू कर दें, तो a lot of the easier cases automatically get solved in and of itself. Now, उसको करने के लिए you really need to understand the lay of the land. I think this panel has already talked about a number of issues that exist in the Pakistani economy, जिससे the state of technological adoption, the state of uptake, the state of what are the barriers to uptake, थोड़ा बहुत हमने layout शुरू कर दिया है उसका. These are the things that you have to consider when making policy. You have to consider the kind of not just literacy barriers, but the kind of use barriers, the kind of internet issues that exist in the country. जब आप उन सबको लेके चलेंगे तो आपकी automatically policies ऐसा बनना शुरू हो जाएंगी कि ये आपके जो मसाइल है हल होना शुरू हो जाएं. अब इसमें academia का ये रोल है कि आप इन constraints को अच्छी तरह describe करें. I mean, one of the reasons why economists deal with doom and gloom is because we look at the barriers. We look at अच्छा ये तो अगर आप उस एजुकेशन में ये कर रहे हैं तो आप फिर इंटरनेट स्पेस पे भी यही करना शुरू करें एंड लेबर विल देन ऑटोमेटिकली गेट सॉल्व. आई मीन दैट्स माय ओपिनियन इज कि आप कंस्ट्रेंट्स को हल करना शुरू करेंगे, उनके बारे में उनको आप टैकल करना शुरू करेंगे, so this ecosystem will start improving itself.
Thank you, Hadia. From your ears to the government's, I guess, from your mouth to the government's ears. That's really where the buck stops for most of this. So I'm going to turn to you and ask you to sort of look into your crystal ball a little bit and predict for us, please, how the landscape of work might change for women in the next decade with the advancement of AI, and what predictions can be made about the roles that women might occupy.
Sure. But before I do that, just to add to what Hadia was saying, there is an example of the government creating some of the space. So about a year ago, I think this was in end of April, in fact, the government passed a resolution. Okay, we want to empower women digitally. And as resolutions go, resolutions are only worth so much, but what they did also is they created a bit of fiscal space. जो उन्होंने PSDF को दिया था और PSDF ट्रेनिंग करना शुरू की, उन्होंने औरतों की ऑन डिजिटल स्किल्स. वो और बात है कि उन्होंने कौर्सेरा के कोर्सेज उनको दिए, बट और जिसकी पे कंप्लीशन रेट्स बहुत कम थी, 20% women signed up, 10% completed it. But an offshoot of that was to understand, with the help of academics, by the way, all women in that academic team, कि जी वो इसलिए नहीं अपटेक हो रही क्योंकि आपने औरतों को कोर्स तो ऑफर कर दिया, बट वो ऑलमोस्ट घर में कॉन्फ्रंटेशनल तरीके से उस कोर्स को ले रही हैं, वो कभी कंप्लीट नहीं कर सकेंगी. सो उन्होंने ज़रा फैमिली को इन्वॉल्व करनी शुरू की एंड कंप्लीशन एंड टेक अप डबल्ड, राइट. सो आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर द एकेडेमिया कैन एक्चुअली रियली हेल्प एज लॉन्ग एज द गवर्नमेंट creates that fiscal space. Now going back to what we think is going to happen in the long run. Again, इस पे डेटा अभी इतना आया नहीं है, डिफरेंट मुल्कों से भी नहीं आया क्योंकि दिस इज़ फेयरली न्यू. But what do we see is generally, again, as we've talked about multiple times, जो नौकरियां जहाँ पे कम हो रही हैं वो हैं जो आसानी से ऑटोमेट हो रही हैं, वो क्लरिकल है, एडमिन है, anything that doesn't require a lot of cognition is decreasing. It turns out that is usually where more women are hired. That's also where usually a lot more youth is hired because those are entry level jobs. So वो पाकिस्तान के लिए gender aspect को अगर आप निकाल भी दें, given our youth bulge, that's concerning in any case, right? कि हमारे वहाँ पे शुरू की जो नौकरियां हैं जो नौजवानों को मिलनी चाहिए वो ख़त्म होती जाएंगी. अगर आप थोड़ा सा इंडिया का केस लें, बांग्लादेश का केस लें, तो हमें वहाँ से भी यही नज़र आ रहा है कि क्लरिकल जॉब्स जो हैं औरतों के पास हैं वो कम होती जा रही हैं. बट जो कहीं पे एक हमें ग्लिमर ऑफ होप नज़र आ रही है वो है जहाँ पे हाईली स्किल्ड वर्क है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग टेक्निकल वर्क, आई एम सेइंग एनी वर्क दैट रिक्वायर्स सोशो कॉग्निशन. Cognition in terms of some executive decision making, but also something where women, and a lot of research, आप management के papers निकाल के देख लें जहाँ पे औरतें excel करती हैं, वो है सोशो इकोनॉमिक क्यूज पिक करना. सो दे आर वेरी गुड मैनेजर्स ऑफ टीम्स, दे आर वेरी गुड निगोशिएटर्स, इन फैक्ट बेटर देन मेन. एंड सो दिस इज़ वेयर वी एक्सपेक्ट मोर एंड मोर women विल स्टेप इनटू. इसमें टेक्निकल नॉलेज नहीं चाहिए होगी, वो नॉलेज होगी जो कि एजुकेशन के साइड से, हायर एजुकेशन के साइड से, ना स्लाइटली फ़र्क सी एजुकेशन लेनी पड़ेगी बिकॉज दोज आर द पोजीशंस दैट आर लेफ्ट ओपन टू देम. सो अगेन एज आई सेड, पाकिस्तान पे तो डेटा बहुत ही कम है, जो बाकी मुल्क हैं जहाँ से नज़र आ रहा है. सो आई ट्राई टू लुक एट सम अदर डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, इंडिया, मेक्सिको, साउथ अमेरिका. दिस इज़ द काइंड ऑफ ट्रेंड दैट वी आर सीइंग देयर. In fact, even in countries like Ethiopia, where in certain aspects they're very similar in terms of access as Pakistan, वहाँ पे हाई स्किल्ड लेबर में औरतों की proportion 13% से बढ़ गई है, which is substantial, right? So we do see this kind of trend emerging, which is good for women as well. So this is where I'm going to say it's a bit optimistic because these are the jobs that pay well. Entry level jobs अगर कम हो रही हैं, औरतों की अगर entry उस job में हो जाए जहाँ पे they get paid well, then that may be in a general equilibrium sense, it may be making the more vulnerable population of the country better off. I'll stop here.
Thank you, Farah. That was news to me. So thank you for bringing that to the table. The last question that I'm going to ask, and then we can open up for Q&A. So feel free to think of sort of questions you might have for us. We have a journalist, 2 economists, and a computer scientist. So we have a large variety of expertise here for you. So I'm going to ask you, because I think that, one of the things that we haven't discussed today are the sort of ethical ramifications of AI. And so what I'd like you to sort of briefly discuss or talk about is What are the kind of ethical considerations that need to be taken into account to protect women from potential biases and harm in AI-driven workplaces? And how can AI be developed and deployed responsibly to ensure safety and fairness?
Right. I think the biggest problem is the fact that most of our understanding of Czech comes from the global north, and I think that in and of itself is a fundamental problem. And I'm going to jump back to something you said earlier, Mariam, which is the fact that indigenously trained data sets, and when I say indigenously trained data sets, I mean AI language models that are based on local indigenous languages are the need of the hour, and they simply don't exist. When it comes to gender specifically, I would be really wary of any AI model and technology that originates from the global north, primarily because, and I think this is really important to bear in mind, biases related to gender and race also exist within data sets, right? Because at the end of the day, you've got a human being that is training that data set or is training that LLM, right? And that is training that model. And so in healthcare, for instance, we've seen a bunch of telehealth, remote health, AI-driven startups prop up in Pakistan, and bias against, generally speaking, and I'm not talking about the startups that have propped up in Pakistan specifically, but when it comes to telemedicine or telehealth, biases against underrepresented groups is a huge problem, right? So most cardiovascular disease data is collected from male patients, and so if you've got an AI model that's sort of that's been trained on a specific data set that doesn't take into account health concerns that women face when it comes to cardiovascular issues, men and women are going to be advised differently, even if they have similar symptoms, right? And so that's a huge problem within an AI-driven healthcare system. And then in hiring, and I think Farah talked about this earlier, there's a study that I'm referencing, and this was an LSE study that said that AI-driven software is likely to mimic historical data that picks men over women, right? And so essentially when you've got like 5,000 resumes, an AI-driven software will sort of sift through those resumes, shortlist a bunch of candidates, and generally data suggests, or research suggests, that AI-driven software is likely to sort of mimic historical data that picks men over women. And this, unfortunately, and I found this out recently. LinkedIn was taken to court, and we've all used LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn was taken to court in 2022 because it paid 686 female employees less than their male counterparts in engineering, marketing, and product roles. And then these biases are sort of mimicked within AI models. And so to answer your question, how can we develop AI fairly, in a way that ensures safety and fairness? I think biases against women are so deeply entrenched within society that I think the only way forward is to have a regulatory framework or an oversight body that provides assurance that these AI models are being used responsibly. Again, I say that with a caveat that these hypothetical regulatory frameworks need to actually have women on the table, because I think the problem with several regulatory bodies is the fact that there are no women there to begin with. And then again, I think ethical, indigenous AI models are the need of the hour.
Thank you, Zoha. I mean, I'll just add to that to say that, AI की biases को समझना, ये बहुत ज़रूरी बात समझना है, चाहे वो AI हो, कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी हो, जो आपकी सोसाइटी में inequities है ना, वो उसको एम्पलीफाई करेगा, बिकॉज आपका जो डेटा है वो आपकी सोसाइटी, आपके लोगों से ही आ रहा है. तो अगर आपकी सोसाइटी में जेंडर बायसेस हैं, AI उसको मिमिक करेगा. अगर आपकी सोसाइटी में religion based biases हैं, where maybe minority religions like Christianity and those populations are particularly marginalized, your AI system will replicate this. So unless you have diverse teams, unless you have teams that are representative of your population, your tech systems will always be biased. In Pakistan, we hardly have any kind of regulatory frameworks जो देखते हैं जहाँ पर ये टेस्टिंग होती है, किसी एक पर्टिकुलर पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा मार्जिनलाइज तो नहीं हो रही इस सिस्टम की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के बाद, राइट? हम तो हर जगह इंग्लिश के सिस्टम्स चला देते हैं, आप बैंक फोन करें आगे से इंग्लिश को ऑटोमेटेड आता है, राइट? लाइक so somebody who doesn't understand English, why do I as a citizen of Pakistan need to understand English to use 90% of the tech that I'm forced to use, whether it's government websites or offices or whatever, right? So I think all of that is just sort of amplified when we talk about AI systems. We have about 5 minutes left, so we'd love to take questions if you have any for us, Ji.
My question is like very brief. We have been talking about data, the limited data that we have, partly when it comes to experimental evidence about the effect of AI on work and how it's changing the dynamics and so forth. And I think and rightly so, we're really apprehensive about how it's going to change, have impact on jobs and so forth, and the distribution of jobs within sectors, globally speaking, from a gender perspective and so forth too. But I also think it's really important, for instance, I also work personally on labor markets. And I do realize that the percentage of people who work in, let's say, the services industry or something, let's say financial sector or so forth, or knowledge-based sectors, is very small compared to, but their impact on the GDP, particularly from a Pakistan perspective, is significant. I personally, at a micro level, have seen that by using AI tools, I'm able to increase my own productivity. That is also a very important facet to consider. As development economists, for instance, what do you think is the role, particularly within those sectors where productivity can be increased at a micro level? And is it possible to see empirically, I know it's very early days, that from that micro level, that is being replicated into macro models of productivity and so forth?
Hadia, I think that was you and Farah.
Yes. No, absolutely. आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं कि there is a huge potential of AI to actually improve productivity. Usme I go back to what Farah was saying. Improvement in productivity, if you look at it from a macro perspective, that's great for us. कि हमारी GDP improve हो रही है. Maybe we're able to enter into areas of these particular sectors where we were not able to make that big an impact. क्योंकि अब आपका जो labor force है, अपनी skills को enhance कर सकता है, अपनी productivity बढ़ा सकता है. What I will also like us to think through, however, is उसमें inequalities कहाँ से आ रही है? Who is it who is able to use that AI tool to improve their productivity? Right? And the reason why I want us to think a little bit about that is that ये जो inequalities होती हैं, अगर आप इन inequalities को enhance कर रहे हैं, increase कर रहे हैं because of AI, क्योंकि कौन में इस्तेमाल कर सकता है, कौन नहीं कर सकता है, it's going to come back to us, right? That's the issue that we face as an economy. हमने inequality पे पिछले 10, 20, 25 साल में उस किस्म से, उस तरह से हमने उसको analyze नहीं किया है. And आज हम productivity levels में इतने far behind, we've fallen so much that we're unable to catch up unless we really start focusing on that productivity. So I'll just say that yes, absolutely, we need to look at कि कहाँ पे वो productivity improve कर रही है, but be mindful of कि वो किसकी vulnerabilities enhance कर रही है, किसकी inequality increase कर रही है. Or I want to add it?
This is, I think you've said everything. I mean, होप तो यही है, और इनफैक्ट मतलब अगर आप थ्योरेटिकली बात करें, होना तो यही चाहिए. और ये पहली टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज तो नहीं है ना. टेक्नोलॉजी हैज़ बिन चेंजिंग वेरी रैपिडली फॉर द लास्ट 2 decades, बट इट्स ऑलवेज बिन चेंजिंग, एंड you've always had new jobs being created, productivity increase हुई है साथ. We've seen that. The same is expected here. And जो हादिया बात करी है वो है basically our concern is more that it will kind of exacerbate some of these inequalities. Just on that point, again, because हमारे पास data नहीं है, but US में से जो data आ रहा है, नई jobs जो बनी हैं, उनमें से 2/3 एक किस्म के तबके के पास गई है जो ज़रा हाई इनकम है, मोस्टली मैन हैं, वाइट हैं, राइट? सो वो एक एग्जांपल है where you do see this kind of inequality increasing, and that's basically the concern.
First of all, as you said, we are talking about here of AI, and in the field, PSDF and other skill development institutions are still training the woman on very traditional sectors. तो जब तैयार ही नहीं है हम बहुत स्किल डेवलपमेंट वाले इदारे भी और डोनर्स के इदारे तैयार ही नहीं हैं औरतों को स्किल अच्छी हाईली स्किल्ड trainings देने के लिए, तो फिर we'll have to catch up on a lot of things. Second, my comment is as an economist, I do believe that yes, there are built-in inequalities in our system. Some of it comes from the son preference. We are a very traditional son preference society, so that has been built in, and that addresses your demand side constraint as well. So I would say if in the previous section we were talking about growth, why Dr. Nadeem was commenting that we are always talking about taxing more, why aren't we talking about growth? So it's just a comment, maybe you disagree with me, that if there is growth, if there is investment, so somehow women will take benefit from that. Like it's built in, women are going to take benefit. For instance, for now we don't even have investments, not ना कहीं private से ना government से, कहीं से पाकिस्तान के investment के जो हालात हैं, तो employment तो ख़राब होगी फिर. अच्छा, last मेरा question डॉक्टर हादिया आपसे, since you have been working on labor market diagnostics a lot. So when we talk about time use, how are women using their time? Labor force survey has a very brief section on that, unfortunately. So how do you see that? How are women using their time? तो फिर हमें पता चल जाएगा वो AI के लिए कितनी motivated है. And secondly, would you like to comment हमारी जो national मैं अभी पिछले सेशन में थी, एक ब्यूरो ऑफ स्टैटिस्टिक्स का वो सेशन था, हम कितने रेडी हैं अपने सर्वेज को, बिकॉज आपने कहा कि हमारे पास इंफॉर्मेशन अगले 20 साल में औरतें क्या करेंगी, वो इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें चाहिए. उसके लिए हम कितने रेडी हैं कि वो हम इंफॉर्मेशन बगैर मतलब लम्स कर रहा हो, पाइट कर रहा हो या कोई और, हमारी नेशनल जो स्टेटिस्टिकल एजेंसीज हैं वो कितनी रेडी हैं हमें कुछ अपने नेशनल जो डेटा सेट्स हैं उनके अंदर 1-2 क्वेश्चंस एटलीस्ट बिल्ट इन करके, बिकॉज हमारे कोई चेंजेस नहीं आते. थैंक यू.
So time use जो है, I when I first saw the labor force survey, उसमें जो time use section था, I was so excited about it. लेकिन अगर आप उसको ज़रा गौर से देखें तो वो टाइम यूज़ जो है वो सिर्फ नॉन वर्किंग वुमेन का आपसे मांगते हैं. सो टेक्निकली स्पीकिंग द ओनली टाइम यूज सर्वे दैट वी हैव इज जस्ट वन राउंड 2007 में जो टाइम यूज सर्वे हुआ था, राइट. अब उसके मुताबिक औरतें जो है वो जब वर्किंग वर्सेस नॉन वर्किंग वुमेन में कोई 40 मिनट का फ़र्क है in terms of how much time they are spending on reproductive work. Women are spending about 5.5 hours per day. Men are spending half an hour per day on reproductive work. And चाहे वो काम कर रही हो या ना काम कर रही हो, उन्होंने reproductive work पे काम ज़रूर करना है. So मेरे नज़दीक one of the most powerful things that AI can help us do is actually to help with the reproductive burden of women. अब वो मुझे नहीं पता किस तरह से, maybe we can leverage AI to help do homework. I don't know. But as far as time use is concerned, that's how we're doing it. To me, how that connects to AI and the future of work, it's really telling, because the future of work as far as women in the global south and even in the global north is concerned, I mean, we know reproductive work ज़्यादातर जो है वो औरतों के ऊपर ही आता है. Future of work requires that we start thinking of reproductive work as important work that women are doing for the economy, and it is valued in and of itself. And as soon as we start valuing it, वो automatically आपका system उस तरह से फिर develop होना शुरू हो जाएंगे. FPR का जो आपने जिक्र किया है, the types of service that they're doing, I'll tell you, we have tried on many occasions to engage with FPR and really give them input on their various service. हम बहुत time गुजार चुके हैं at LUMS, and I'm sure it's the same for PI. उस किस्म की आपको movement नज़र नहीं आती है, just that you like. लेबर फोर्स सर्वे में जो इश्यूज हैं उनको हाईलाइट कर चुके हैं हम कई दफ़ा, उस किस्म की मूवमेंट नज़र नहीं आती है. वन ऑफ द मोस्ट पॉजिटिव थिंग्स दैट हैज़ हैपेंड इन द लास्ट कपल ऑफ इयर्स इज जो PSLM है उसमें अब एक एसेट्स पे जो लैंड है एंड सम अदर एसेट्स वो अब जेंडर डिसएग्रीगेट कर रहे हैं. So there is movement going on. One of my primary frustrations is कि आपके पास ये डेटा अवेलेबल है, आप जेंडर डिसएग्रीगेट्स कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप उस डेटा को रिलीज नहीं कर रहे हैं. So I think it's not just about कि आप अपने सर्विस को किस तरह से डिज़ाइन करते हैं, आप अपने सर्विस में कौन से क्वेश्चंस डालते हैं, आपकी लाइन क्या है. वो जो मरियम ने सवाल पूछा था कि हम पॉलिसी को किस तरह से इम्पैक्ट कर सकते हैं, व्हाट इज़ द कनेक्शन बिटवीन एकेडेमिया, प्राइवेट सेक्टर एंड पब्लिक सेक्टर, हाउ विलिंग आर वी टू लिसन टू ईच अदर. एंड अगर आप सुन रहे हैं एकेडेमिया की बात और आप कह रहे हैं अच्छा हम इस डाल देंगे क्वेश्चंस, और फिर आप वो डेटा रिलीज नहीं कर रहे हैं, what are we supposed to do, right?
Thank you, Hadia. So I mean, we have a lot of questions. So I'm going to try and, before I get another pachi saying you to wrap up, I'm going to try and get this young man's question and then your question, and hopefully nobody will give me a pachi before that.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम। मेरा एक मासूमाना सा सवाल है कि मैम एज एन नॉन टेक्निकल पर्सन हमारे अंदर ना काफ़ी ज़्यादा खौफ डाला जा रहा है कि आने वाले 10-20 सालों के अंदर अंदर जो आर्टिफिशियल जनरल इंटेलिजेंस है, ये जो आर्टिफिशियल सुपर इंटेलिजेंस है वो आ जाएगी और जो वाइट कॉलर जॉब्स हैं ये उनको भी रिप्लेस कर देगी। मतलब एज अ डिसीजन मेकर या पॉलिसी मेकर की जो जॉब हैं वो भी चली जाएंगी। तो इसमें कितनी हकीकत है और आपके ख्याल में अगर ये दौर आने वाला है तो कितनी देर में आने वाला है? थैंक यू।
So who's this question for? Who wants to take it?
आप थी।
So I think a lot of it is hype. If anybody's used, most of you used ChatGPT. I tried to get ChatGPT to make the questions for this panel. It couldn't do it. I gave it everybody's profile. I gave it an abstract. It couldn't do it. So I think a lot of it really is hype. I think, you know, our AI is not replacing your brain anytime soon. I also think it's great at repetitive tasks, but jo genuinely creative tasks, it's not going to be replacing. I think you'll have to think, young people particularly, and I'm very glad you asked this question. I think young people have to think a little bit creatively about where they want their future to go, right? Automative tasks replace ho jayenge, for sure, right? अगर आप कॉपी एडिटिंग का काम कर रहे थे वो रिप्लेस होने वाला है। अगर आप एक्चुअल कंटेंट जनरेशन का काम कर रहे थे वो इतनी जल्दी शायद ना रिप्लेस हो। That's like my brief answer to this. I think a lot of it is hype, but I also think that this requires a little shift in thinking about where you would like your career to go. जी।
बहुत ज़्यादा होने की वजह जो है ब्लड प्रेशर है।
Eclampsia, it's a third leading cause, eclampsia.
ब्लड प्रेशर ही है ना?
It was one of the, yeah.
तो ये एआई किस तरह हेल्प करेगी वुमेन की हेल्थ को बेहतर करने की देहातों में? जो उनको तो पहले ही डॉक्टर बता देता है कि ये दूसरी प्रेगनेंसी पे डेथ हो जाएगी, वो तो श्योर होता है और वैसे ही होता है। तो एआई से कैसे उसको जो है लोग कैसे समझेंगे, वो लोग देहातों?
That's a very good question. Actually हो ये रहा है कि आपको मैं एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ। ये सर्दियों में, दिसंबर में, there's a woman in sort of rural area में, वो अपनी दाई के पास गई, उसकी पहली प्रेगनेंसी थी। दाई ने कहा सब ठीक है। महीने के बाद फिर गई कि मुझे ना चक्कर आ रहे हैं। दाई ने कहा सब ठीक है, घर जाओ। फिर गई कि मेरे हाथ पाँव फूल रहे हैं। दाई ने कहा कि ये नॉर्मल है, ये तो होता है ना, तुम्हारी पहली प्रेगनेंसी है इसलिए तुम थोड़ी कंसर्न हो रही है, तुम घर। 7वें महीने में उसको ना शी स्टार्टेड टू फेंट, सीजर्स होना शुरू हुए उसको। तो रात को उसको ट्रैक्टर पर बिठा कर लेकर गए BHU ने उसको टर्शरी भेजा, टर्शरी ने उसको हॉस्पिटल भेजा। हॉस्पिटल पहुंचने तक वो कोमा में थी। पता ये चला कि उसको हाई ब्लड प्रेशर था, हाइपरटेंशन थी, जिसकी जो अनट्रीटेड गई क्योंकि दाई ने रिपीटेड ब्लड प्रेशर की मेजरमेंट्स नहीं की। तो अगर एक औरत आती है, अब क्या हो रहा है, जो हमने शालीमार में सिस्टम डिप्लॉय किया, एक औरत आती है, फ़ोन पर हमारी ऐप है, जो वहाँ पर नर्स बैठी हुई है, वो कह रही है कि ये औरत आई है, ये कह रही है मुझे चक्कर आ रहे हैं, ये सब कुछ रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है और फिर ये सब कुछ लिखा जा रहा है पीछे हमारे सिस्टम में। दूसरी दफ़ा वो औरत आती है तो उसके नंबर से फिर एंट्री हो रही है, नर्स जो कर रही है कि ये औरत अब अपने दूसरे महीने में आई है, आज इसको चक्कर आ रहे हैं। हमारा सिस्टम वापस जाकर कहता है कि देयर इज़ अ 90% चांस कि इसको इक्लैम्सिया है या हाइपरटेंशन है। So please check her blood pressure and then send her to a hospital today. Do not wait for a month. Do not wait for 2 months. आज ही इसको हॉस्पिटल रेफर करो, बिकॉज आपको पता है हमारा पब्लिक हेल्थ सिस्टम रेफरल्स पर चलता है। और जो आपकी दाइयाँ हैं, मिडवाइव्स, उनको ये नहीं पता चलता कि हॉस्पिटल रेफर करना कब, और डिस्टेंसेस इतने लार्ज हैं कि दे आर रिलक्टेंट टू रेफर। सो व्हाट आवर सिस्टम डज इज इट ट्रेन्स द मिडवाइफ टू आइडेंटिफाई कि पिछले 3 दफ़ा ये औरत आई, पहले सर में दर्द थी, फिर चक्कर आ रहे थे, फिर उसको नज़र ठीक नहीं आ रहा था, दिस इज इक्लैम्सिया। Send her to a hospital now, not in her 7th month, because hypertension is treatable, but it just needs to be caught early. So what decision making में it can help.
उसको काम समझ, मुझे नहीं मोबाइल की समझ आती,
But इसलिए स्पीच में है ना, सबसे ज्यादा पाकिस्तान में जो यूज्ड एप्लीकेशन है वो व्हाट्सएप है। व्हाट्सएप पर आप वॉइस नोट्स तो भेजते होंगे और आपको आते भी हैं, वो आप समझ लेते हैं। सो ये वॉइस नोट्स हैं, ये सब काम वॉइस नोट्स पर हो रहा है। पीछे सिस्टम उस वॉइस नोट को खुद ही ट्रांसक्राइब कर रहा है, उसको खुद ही ट्रांसलेट कर रहा है, ये उर्दू में काम हो रहा है। Thank you so much. Let me also thank our panelists. Let's all put our hands together for what a very wonderful discussion we've had. Thank you, everybody. Any other questions? The panelists are around for a few more minutes, so please come up and ask us.
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है मैम, जैसे मैं थोड़ा लेट आया था अपने टॉपिक जो है एआई एंड द फ्यूचर वर्क्स के बारे में। तो मैम इससे पहले मैंने जो प्रीवियस सेशन अटेंड की उससे मैंने ये अखज़ किया कि जो पाकिस्तान जिस स्टेट्स में हम रहते हैं कि उस स्टेट्स का खुद एक फ्यूचर नहीं, तो उस स्टेट्स में हम रहने वालों का क्या फ्यूचर होगा। तो मैम आप जिस टॉपिक पे आप बोल रहे हो तो उससे पहले आपके साथ इस तरह इंस्टीट्यूशन है कि वहाँ पर एआई वहाँ पर पढ़ाया जाए। द मर्डर ऑफ हिस्ट्री में के अजीज़ लिखते हैं कि आपके पूरे एजुकेशन सिस्टम जो है वो जो एलीट से उसने आईजे किया है। तो मैम आप किस तरह एआई, अभी मैं बलूचिस्तान से बिलोंग करता हूँ मैम, वहाँ पे आई थिंक इस तरह सेमिनार पूरे 100 साल के बाद भी नहीं करवाया जाएगा। तो मैम आपने पहले ये जो बेसिक जो प्रॉब्लम्स है, जो रूट है, उनसे आपको अपरूट करना चाहिए कि आप उसके बाद एआई की तरफ आ जाओ। तो मेरे क्वेश्चन पर आपके जो
So,
कमेंट्स।
does anybody want to take this? Shall I take this? So, आपकी बात ठीक है। I think it's really important that young people have a voice. मैं ये ज़रूर कहूँगी कि I think education का मॉडल बदल चुका है अब, and I really think कि हमें ना अपने जहन को भी बदलना है। एजुकेशन अब सिर्फ क्लासरूम तक महदूद नहीं है, right? If you in panels or in conversations का मकसद ही यही है that we have a conversation. I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking, जो आपने infrastructure की बात की, education, we spent a lot of time thinking about this. But मैं ये ज़रूर कहूँगी कि if this is of interest to you, there are so many online courses that do this for free, right? So I think it's really important for young people to think beyond कि हमें कोई ये करवाएगा, हम किसी इदारे में जाएंगे, वहाँ पर एक क्लासरूम में बैठेंगे तो फिर हम ये सीखेंगे। I think it's really important to recognize कि अब very often for many jobs that are on Fiverr, that are on these online platforms, जो gig work है, उसके लिए आपको डिग्री कोई नहीं पूछता, वो पूछते हैं अपना पोर्टफोलियो दिखाएं, right? उसमें for a lot of work, a degree is no longer essential. A skill is important, and skills you actually don't need to be in a formal classroom to learn. That's my take on this. Anybody want to add to this?
No, I mean, as an educator, I see this all the time. I know कि आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है कि शायद हम एक पर्टिकुलर तबके के स्टूडेंट्स को पढ़ा रहे हैं, मगर अक्सर जो है वो हमारे आउटसाइड ऑफ द क्लासरूम लर्निंग हो रही है। अब हमारे कॉलीग हैं कंप्यूटर साइंस में, आपके भी, वो हमेशा एग्जांपल देते हैं कि एआई को आप एक कैलकुलेटर के तौर पर सीखें। वो बहुत आपको हाई डिजिटल स्किल्स नहीं कह रहा, बट वो आपको सिर्फ ये समझाना चाह रहा है कि आप इसको इफेक्टिवली कैसे इस्तेमाल करें, और वो आप बड़े आसान तरीके से भी कर सकते हैं। सो आई थिंक हम सबको थोड़ी सी अपनी थिंकिंग ज़रा गियर शिफ्ट करने की ज़रूरत पड़ जाएगी वेरी सून।
Thank you, everybody.